And there's in loving kindness where you tend to start from yourself and then kind of radiate out this compassion to larger and larger groups of people until it's for all kind of conscious beings. And yeah, I think that's a good maybe way to think about the difference between empathy and compassion, because if you're practicing empathy and you're letting in all of the suffering into your heart and letting it weigh on you in a way that was imbalanced, then that wouldn't be sustainable. But compassion has this inexhaustible quality that it really can just be radiated to everyone.
Yeah. No, that's a nice way of expressing it. It does tend to be inexhaustible, and that sort of over-identification of empathy does tend to be exhausting. So then who does that serve in the end?
And then the idea of loving everyone, I think is the kind of logical endpoint here, and having compassion for everyone. And I think this is, you can hold both these perspectives where for the individual who suffered, anger is often necessary to assert a boundary. These emotions are valid and real. We're not saying preemptively forgive everyone who's ever hurt you. But I do think that, there's this ultimate wisdom and it is linked to, I think, getting out of that relative way of thinking and of just seeing everyone as the result of their conditioning. Everything's just kind of playing out. And when you see that way, it is freeing, I think, to take someone who's hurt you and say, oh, I see why you did that. And it's not, it also actually allows you to have the boundary you mentioned earlier of, there could be someone who's been very toxic and has really hurt you. And you could say, I have complete compassion for you. I want the best for you, but I don't want to spend any time with you. Like nothing good comes from definitely. Spending time together.
Yeah. And I'm going to maybe in certain contexts see what I can do to stop your agenda from being successful or whatever. Like, I think the most popular thing I've ever posted on the internet was compassion doesn't mean we don't fight. It means we don't hate.
Yeah.
And
I was going to quote that.
Yeah. It's like, it's the most retweeted or whatever, of anything I've ever written. And it's very hard to understand because we do think of these qualities as squishy. And I think it takes a real experience of the cost within ourselves of being bent on revenge. And I totally agree with you. I would never say to somebody who's been harmed, sometimes so horribly harmed, time to get over it, we have to love everybody and it's ridiculous. But the cost within of being consumed by hatred, as compared to feeling anger, but being able to extract the energy of it and not the kind of burning, the cost is pretty significant. And when I was writing Real Change, I thought, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to use that Gandhi quote where he said something like being lost in anger. And again, I'm distinguishing being lost in anger from just feeling anger. Being lost in anger is like drinking poison thinking it's going to kill the other guy. So I looked it up because I wanted to use it in the book. And I never saw it attributed to Gandhi. I saw it attributed to the Buddha and Oprah Winfrey and the Big Book of AA and Carrie Fisher and Nelson Mandela. And I have no idea who said it. But that's sort of the point. It's not because we're trying to be righteous or squelch anger. It's out of the greatest compassion for ourselves that we might say, what other sources of strength are there that are genuinely sources of strength and taking action that may not involve both the burning and the delusion. It's like if you think of the last time you were really, really angry at yourself and just bring it up, it's not a time where you think, you know what? I did 5 great things same morning. It's like those are gone. So what information are we losing? What options are we losing? What chance at creativity are we losing if we're just consumed by that kind of anger? And it's a delicate thing to extract the energy of it and not at all ever blame yourself for what you're feeling, but realizing being dedicated to the cultivation and the rehearsing and the going over and over and over and over my grievance, that may not be that healthy for me.
I feel like you mentioned you get a lot of this kind of pushback of people saying, "Oh, it's kind of squelchy and not powerful." And I mean, you actually use the analogy in the book of water, which is really powerful, I think, right? Of how water seems to be the most yielding fluid thing imaginable, but give it enough time and it will wear through mountains. And I think that's quite a powerful analogy. But to me, it seems I can't help but see the kind of these teachings around love as the most profound thing out there and the most powerful thing out there, and any cynicism or dismissing of it as a kind of self-defensive, trying to kind of protect oneself, I guess, because I feel like suffering in the world does arise out of fear and trauma, like at a societal level of people kind of closing off from each other, closing off from compassion, and as you say, doing kind of abysmal things to each other when they lose that kind of spark of love. And so I do think, yeah, if there's one thing we could focus on that would help make maximum change in the world, it would be this topic.
I think that's true, and I think it's in times of such enormous stress and strife like we have now that more people reach out for some tools. And I've just been so grateful that I've been practicing for so long, and like I had tools I could rely on. It was everything else, all expectations of where it would be, and what my life looked like, and it just went away. Like, and yet, I really felt supported by both streams of practice, mindfulness and loving kindness.